So while we continue to follow the directions of our Chief Medical Officer of Health, we must also ensure Albertans are supported through these trying times. Many childcare space operators are expressing their concerns to me that they may not be able to reopen their doors when COVID-19 emergency protocols are lifted without immediate provincial government funding. As a result of the province-wide closure of all licensed childcare facilities, with the exception of childcare spaces which have been open for essential service workers, operators are no longer collecting fees. And they're not collecting fees from parents, but they're also not being provided with subsidy payments and wage top-ups from government. Even though Children's Services has budgeted for this money in their 2020 budget. So with no source of income, most childcare centres are no longer able to cover their fixed costs, the most pressing of which are lease payments. Currently, there are no other supports available from any level of government in order to help this sector. Earlier this week, British Columbia announced that they are providing direct financial support to closed childcare centres to cover fixed operating costs like lease payments, and it's time for the UCP government to do the same. For most centres, lease payments and other bills are due on April 1st. That is just 4 days from now. At this point, it is not clear how long childcare centres will be closed, but we're looking at least months. Without any income and without provincial funding support, these centres may not be able to reopen their doors when families will need them. The UCP government must release funds that are allocated for childcare spaces in Budget 2020 immediately so that childcare centres can remain operational when it's time for Albertans to go back to work. Alberta's childcare space operators will play a vital role in supporting families who are returning to work and will need stable and affordable care for their children. We will need to be ready to support working families as they help get our economy back on track. The current pandemic has made it clear that childcare is an essential service to Albertans and to our economy. We need our childcare spaces to be available when Albertans are going back to work. And it's important to note that what we're asking for here today from the UCP government is not new dollars. This is not a situation where we're asking for an increase in dollars. There's already money set aside in Budget 2020 to directly provide financial support to childcare centres. We're simply asking that this money now be given to childcare centres so that they can pay their fixed operating costs and those centres are still there for Albertans when they're ready to go back to work.